surprises even me.
Well, it does happen. People lock into whatever means it may be, and it differs from person to person. I'm not sure why, but they do start getting consistent information. See, we got lucky because we started comparing people like yourself and others and seeing what each one was finding, and then we found a whole realm of stuff hidden below all of this because we could do a large comparison study, which no one had done before. Until we came along, no one had done a comparison study amongst contactees and or experiences. There's so many names we can use here, but nobody had really done any comparison studies about what this one was saying with that. And we do find what we call a base thing that's going to happen to all contactees. We know certain age groups and certain things are going to go on in these age groups with different types of aliens because now we've got enough cases.
Do we know that that's going to happen? Because do these same individuals have a track record of having other things that they said actually happen?
Well, it depends.
That's the question.
Yeah, well, see, it depends on the person. Some of these people have actually been quite good in their entire life of knowing what was coming. Well, I'll give you an example like 911. We have an online support group we've had since about 98. And right before, about 2 months before 911, they all started writing in or coming in and saying how antsy they were and how weird feeling they were. No one said anything about the Twin Towers coming down, but everyone had a pending sense of doom. All of them did. And,
well, you see, in our body of material, in the Cassiopean transmission, we actually had, specific information that related to the Twin Towers.
Yeah. And it's just a strange phenomenon. You just never know what they're going to hit on and what they're not. And it's just strange. It was like something that happened in Iraq. I forgot what it was. We had a group come in about 2 weeks before it happened, and they all wrote it down and documented what it was, and it was damn good. It had something to do with a counterattack by the insurgents, but they were right on the money. But now the thing of it is did someone tell them this? Did they see this in the future? Or how did they actually obtain this information? Is always one of the things I'm curious about because, if people even have a basic understanding of time travel, they know if you go and come back, you've changed it. So how could it have happened in the first place?
Right.
So it gets real complicated and real sticky there. But still, so you got to wonder about all of that. So where's the data actually coming from? Is this someone sitting outside of our time and space watching what's going on? Somebody can see now, past, present, and future all at the same time. Because that's the only way time travel could work anyways, if everything existed at the same time anyway. It's the only way, really, you could access information both backwards and forward, is if everything existed at the same time.
Well, I think that it's rather like Uspensky's description of the snail traveling across the garden. To the snail, everything that he encounters as he crawls along the ground, and his vision is, of course, very limited. It all happens to him in time. But a bird flying above the snail crawling across the ground can see that where the snail has been still is there.
Yep.
The different directions that the snail can go in the future or in the forward motion are all there. Of course, the snail will only experience one line of experiences depending on which direction he takes. But they're all there. So the bird can see them all, but the snail can't.
Yeah, and that's like the multiple dimension theory, where there's one of us in the next couple of billion dimensions.
I think there are many of us who have, some part of our inner consciousness, for lack of a better word, that connects with this higher level, where where we have this bird's eye view of the world, and it filters into our conscious mind.
Yeah, well, there's no real way to explain some of the information that people come up with.
Yeah.
Or some.
And they're connected.
Yeah.
And many people have it. And they have these feelings, and it is amazing to see how accurate some so-called psychic predictions, for lack of a better, I hate the terminology.
Well, that's a good point, Laura, because we have discussed this in many, many times over the last 10 years. The terminology, both in ufology and paranormal, is so out of date for the time that it's there really needs to be new terms.
We need a new language for it.
We do. I agree with you 100%. We really do need a new language, and it's a sad thing because I like the word ufology. I'm not a ufologist. I do abduction research. I don't study UFOs.
Yeah.
So, but yet,
what's the word paranormal really mean?
Yeah. That's the thing, and that's a broad term when you say paranormal.
And psychic phenomena. What is it?
Yeah. What is a psychic phenomenon? I ask that question all the time, but I get chewed out for asking that question.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? What is a psychic phenomenon? I said, well, what is it? I said, and then of course they'll list like 30 different things. I'm like, well, wait, they can't all be psychic phenomena. I said, we got to pick something here, y'all. and say this is a psychic phenomenon, this is this, and this is this, and they don't want to do that because it limits what can be said and done, and we want to hold them to, I've been told that we're trying to hold them to too strict evidence criteria, but we're not. I just want things to be labeled.
But there's another thing, because there's several groups of scientific researchers that are working in, quote, paranormal.
Yeah, paranormal.
And the thing is once they got to the point where it was accepted that they could be scientists and they could study this as a scientific field, they actually became so rigid that what they are doing excludes most of what it is they claim to be studying. They want to spend all their time having these little meters, and people coming in and running trials and looking at cards and so on and so forth, repeatable experiments. That's what they want to do. And it's like I said, you can't have repeatable experiments. You can't know, position and momentum at the same time. And they're doing that. And so the so-called paranormal researchers that consider themselves of the scientific ilk have put themselves in ivory towers where they're completely out of touch with the what they're trying to study, what they're trying to understand.
Oh, that's true, and I've said that myself. It's I don't know exactly when this separation started, but it does seem like it's getting worse.
And the difference, the world or the chasm between paranormal, I hate that word, paranormal researchers and people who study the UFO and or abduction phenomena.
Yeah. Well, but you see, that's the thing too, and people get mad when I say this, but there are some correlations between abductees and some
Absolutely.
What we call paranormal events.
I mean, one of the biggest things about the whole UFO/alien abduction phenomena is the so-called high strangeness factor.
Yeah.
And that high strangeness factor is exactly correlated to a whole lot of historical so-called paranormal experience.
Yeah, the two are interchangeable. There seems to be a direct connection, not in everything, mind you, but in a lot.
So how much of the old-timey paranormal stuff was, say, UFO or alien abduction inspired, and or vice versa?
Well, it's like when I mentioned one day, somebody, I had one of our, we have several pastors and stuff that have joined the organization, and I had one of them on the show with me a couple of years ago. And I asked him, I said, I remember hearing the story of Mary when I was a kid growing up, roaming around in the desert and coming back pregnant. I mean, this is classic alien abduction, by the way.
Yeah.
And, well, he got offended, and he said, well, what are you saying, Jesus Christ is an alien? I'm saying it is a possibility.
I didn't say it, you did.
That's what I said. I was just saying, guys, I mean, Ezekiel, that's classic alien abduction. Mary, that's classic alien abduction. And, of course, I've been heavily criticized, which I don't mind. I mean, I'm a big
fairy
boy.
experiences.
And how much of this so-called fairy experiences and a lot of the gremlins and stuff that we're seeing back in the day were not actually extraterrestrial. See, there's no way for us to know because none of us were there, and we need to know because we need to know what would actually be considered paranormal, for lack of a better word.
What about poltergeist phenomena? I mean, poltergeist is one of the oldest recorded phenomena.
And where does that fit in? I mean, it's a tough one.
And apports, disappearing objects and reappearing objects.
Oh, I don't even want to talk about things like that because my keys go. Laura, I got the damnedest luck. Sometimes I will set something down. I mean, set it down like right here in front of the computer where I'm sitting. Get up, go get a coat, come back, it's gone. Then I'm looking all over the house, and then all of a sudden I'll come back and it's sitting right where I left it. I'm like, okay. Now, to me, that's just irritating to start off with, and I don't know what it is.
The cat walked by twice.
My friend tells me the other day, he said, well, maybe your dogs are getting it. I said, I don't think so. Man, I said, what, they're getting it and bringing it back? They're not that smart, guys. Come on.
And that's one of the reasons I call this book High Strangeness.
That's a good name for it. That's good. Well, so far, most of what I've read in the book, I've been all right with. I know when I'm always leery about the word channel, and I'm not going to lie to you, but because I've met. You know what? I'll be honest with you. Have you ever met Nancy Leader? That's what she's the one that turned.
I interacted with her years back on Mike Lindemann's.
Well, she's the one that actually made me have a hard time with channeling. Before that, I actually thought it wasn't that bad of a thing, but she did this Zeta Nancy talk with me.
Oh, this stuff was so horrible, it's not even funny.
Girl, halfway through the show, I had to start laughing. I'm like, and then, so I'd get confused. I'm like, well, who am I talking to? Nancy is a Zeta. And I said, why can't I just talk to the damn Zeta And she got mad at me. But I wasn't trying to be offensive. I was trying to understand, because I'm a researcher, and when you tell me stuff, I want to understand it. So she kind of tainted my view on Chan a little bit, but fortunately I've got some friends like Tuesday Miles who are work in the paranormal field that are actually really good and really legitimate researchers.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they have
I
actually,
welcome. I've had people come and they've brought various kinds of electronic meters, ghost meters, and set
stuff
them
like
around.
that, yeah.
And when we're working, we can bury those needles. I mean, and I don't know how it happens. I can't tell you. I can't explain it to you.
Because you're drawing on that energy. That's why.
And we've had so-called poltergeist phenomena happen when we're sitting at the board, and it's always funny because I tell people, they say, well, you're going to have a session of table tilting, and I said, let me tell you what, if that table moves, I'm out of there.
I'm with you on that. Time to leave, buddy. A friend of mine wanted to go. He said, we're going to go. He wanted to before. Until we came along, no one had done a comparison study amongst contactees or experiences. There's so many names we can use here, but nobody had really done any comparison studies about what this one was saying with that. And we do find what we call a base thing that's going to happen to all contactees. We know certain age groups and certain things are going to go on in these age groups with different types of aliens, because now we've got enough cases.
Do we know that that's going to happen?
911, they all started writing in or coming in and saying how antsy they were and how weird feeling they were. No one said anything about the Twin Towers coming down, but everyone had a pending sense of doom. All of them did. And,
well, you see, in our body of material, in the Cassiopeian transmission, we actually had, specific information that related to the Twin Towers.
Yeah. And it's just a strange phenomenon. You just never know what they're going to hit on and what they're not. And it's just strange. It was like something that happened in Iraq. I forgot what it was. We had a group come in about 2 weeks before it happened, and they all wrote it down and documented what it was, and it was damn good. It had something to do with a counterattack by the insurgents, but they were right on the money. But now the thing of it is did someone tell them this? Did they?
It surprises even me.
Well, it does happen. People lock into whatever means it may be, and it differs from person to person. I'm not sure why, but they do start getting consistent information. See, we got lucky because we started comparing people like yourself and others and seeing what each one was finding, and then we found a whole realm of stuff hidden below all of this because we could do a large comparison study, which no one had done.
Because do these same individuals have a track record of having other things that they said actually happen?
Well, it depends.
That's the question.
Yeah, well, see, it depends on the person. Some of these people have actually been quite good in their entire life of knowing what was coming. Well, I'll give you an example like 911. We have an online support group we've had since about 98. And right before, about 2 months before